So in this video workshop today, we will understand how to use Adobe Rush to create a podcast, learn 3 simple steps for making a podcast, and then creating our own podcasts. So follow along, you'll find this is very easy to do. There are 3 simple podcasting steps that you can do to make your own podcast. They are, first of all, choose the recording that you want to use. You can find a simple recording for anything that you want to podcast using any device. This can be something created with your phone. You can do a voice record. You can do it with a digital tape machine. It only means that you have to produce an MP3 file to use with your Adobe Rush. So once you get your recording, then you are able to go ahead and start doing your podcast. Next step is to add a thumbnail or any kind of picture that you want to use with your podcast. And then finally, adding some variety or using your imagination to make the podcast more interesting. So let's start with step 1, choosing your recording. First of all, open up Adobe Rush in your computer. And I've opened up Adobe Rush in my computer, and you can see here, this is my dashboard for Adobe Rush. The first thing that I want to do is create a new project. And when I create a new project, it's going to ask me for the files that I want to use for the project that I'm doing. Regardless of any type of project that you're doing, whether it's a podcast, whether you're actually going to use video in it, when you are setting up the project, create a file for that project and put all of the assets that you're going to use in that project in that one file. So I've created a file that has all my recordings in it. I've created a file in my OneDrive, and I've called it podcast. Now in my podcast file, I've got anything that I might want to use to create my podcast. Doesn't mean I'm going to use it all, but it has my essential assets. As I've got a thumbnail picture, I've got another thumbnail option right here, and then of course I've got my audio. The recording, of course, is going to be the most important part. So let's go ahead and select the media that we're going to use. And the first thing that I want to drag in to my podcast is, of course, the audio. I just click on that. That's going to be my primary media down at the bottom of the page. And I have a ready file podcast. So your recording, it could be an hour long. This could be 5 minutes long. But the recording is going to look like this down in your audio. Now here's your audio timeline. First thing that we want to do is just to touch up this audio. You'll see the speaking doesn't begin until almost 30 seconds in. And that gave me time to set myself up. And hello students, my name is Dr. Bart Ganser from City. And when it begins, it really starts the podcast. So I want to cut this off, this 30 seconds of empty time. If you'll see, I'm positioning my time marker right where I want to cut it. And then over to the left in this menu, you'll see I have a pair of scissors. This is the splitting your clip icon. I split the clip, it just cuts it down there. This is the clip that I want to the right. This is what I don't want. Click on the segment that you don't want, and you'll see it's highlighted. And then all you have to do is delete, and it goes away. Just hit delete on your computer. Now, I still have 30 seconds of empty time, so I'll need to click on the segment that I want and slide it to the beginning of the timeline. You'll see that my timer is here. If you ever want to reset the timer, go to your larger screen and hit the back button, and it will reset your clip. So now you'll see that I have a recording. And if I play it.
Hello, students. My name is Dr. Bart Ganser from CITI, the Center for Innovative Teaching and Instruction.
I'll have everything that I want. Now, if I want to edit a clip, I can go and edit just as I showed you before by cutting out, some of the pauses and edit out maybe some background noise, whatever I want. But essentially, I've got my podcast clip. Now, since this is a video tool, Adobe Rush, we may want to add some images to make this interesting. And so that's why I brought in my photographs. So I want to add a photograph or a thumbnail up to the top so that we can have some visual accompaniment while we're playing this podcast. So what could that be? It could be anything, but to add it, I simply go to the top left, hit the Add Media key, and then click on My Media so I can go back to my file. It takes me back to my podcast file. And in here, I had some thumbnails that I wanted to pull out. Let's use both of the thumbnails. I just click on each of them and they number themselves 1 and then 2, and then add them to my project. Now, you'll see that they are added to the beginning of the timeline. So what I want to do is click on the one that I want to edit, and that will be the first one here. I need to get a closer look. So how do I get a closer look in Adobe Rush? I go down to the bar and pull it to the left. You'll see that the bar shrinks down at the bottom, but it expands my timeline so I can get a closer look. So now I've added my thumbnail pictures to the top. And so when I play it.
Hello, students. My name is Dr. Bart Ganser from CITI, the Center for Innovative Teaching.
You'll see that I'll have a visual accompaniment to go along with my podcast. So let me go ahead and expand this line going back. And if I want to expand my clip, to expand your clip to make sure that you're getting the whole thing, you just click on the you want, hit the edge, and I may need to shrink it, hit the edge, and you'll see a little bar with an arrow. And I can expand that as long as I want it. So let's see what it.
Hello, students. My name is Dr. Bart Ganser from CITI, the Center for Innovative Teaching and Instruction at Winston-Salem State University. I want to thank you for participating in this midterm assessment plan, or MAP, as we call it. A MAP is an assessment, a diagnostic, if you.
So now that we have our podcast essentially put together, let's add some music. I'm going to go back up to my files, and I am going to go to some music in my own archive. And just for fun, let's go ahead and put in some quick music. So I imported some music here. In order for the music to have a little bit of play in, let's move our audio recording up a little bit. And now let's see what this sounds like.
Hello, students. My name is Dr. Bart Ganser from CITI, the Center for Innovative Teaching and Instruction at Winston-Salem State University.
Okay, that's probably as far as I want the music to go. So what I'm going to do, I am going to stretch out my timeline, and right where that pointer is, that is where I'm going to end my music, right there.
Hello, students. My name is Dr. Bart Ganser from CITI, the Center for Innovative Teaching and Instruction at Winston-Salem State University. I want to thank you for participating in this midterm assessment plan, or MAP, as we call it. A MAP is an assessment, a diagnostic.
I can, of course, get that a little closer.
Plan, or MAP, as we call it.
Let's grow it out to there. I want the music to last up to about there. And then we'll begin.
Assessment plan, or MAP, as we call it. A MAP is an assessment, a diagnostic.
So now you have your podcast. Now your next step is to create it or share it out. So I go up to the top left, hit share. And it gives me the options for sharing out the podcast. If you want to save it to your local computer, you hit local. If you have a YouTube account, then you click on YouTube, and you can do both. You sign into your YouTube account, give a title, and then export it. It will automatically load in your YouTube account or load to the file that you save it to in your computer. Make sure, however, that you save it as the right file type. You'll want to save these as an MP3. So make sure that your setting is for an MP3 or MP4 format. So enjoy your podcasting, and good luck with all of your classes.